The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Open your eyes.
Cindy, can you take it? There we go. Hello, everyone. And welcome to Open Your Eye. I'm back. I disappeared for a minute. That was a lot of fun. Not. Welcome to Open Your Eye, the first video podcast located here on the Pace Radio Network. And we're going to start today off with Kim vanishing. I was gone. My screen vanished for a moment, but it came right back. So I'm really happy about that. And I've got, of course, joined by my awesome joint host, Miss Cindy Howell. How's it going today, Cindy?
I'm really, really good. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too bad now that I can see everything that's going on and I got my board back. That's always good on a video podcast, right? Really excited about tonight's guest. She's past guest on the Pace Radio show. She's a good friend of ours, and she's doing some exciting stuff on the psychedelic front. So I'm really excited about tonight's guest.
Absolutely. Me too. Me too. I'm really excited about next Tuesday.
Me too. Me too. Big announcement show we did today. We let all of our viewers out there at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time today. We went on the air and let everybody know about a brand new broadcast we got going on here at Pace Radio. Cindy and I have teamed up to bring you a new show called the Psychedelic Reporters, sort of a sister show to the Reefer Reporters that we've both already do.
Yeah, so it won't be much different. We're just going to be reporting on some different news. We have over the past, since I've been with Pace, there are some weeks that we have a lot of psychedelic stories popping up, and it's kind of like, can we do these? And we're allowed to do one per show, and it's been getting hard to pick one. And we found that here 2 weeks ago as well, trying to pick one story to do the show with. And it's kind of like you and I and Al had an epiphany at the same time. Well, hey.
Yeah. You said it best earlier today when we were all talking, and Cindy had mentioned, she realized that on your iboga journey, that we're communing up there in the universe. Our subconsciouses are communicating, and we're communing, and we're discussing, and we're creating ideas. And I just loved it when you said, we decided that our subconsciouses up in the universe, and then it just took some time for that to be relayed back to our bodies down here on Earth, right? And it all just clicked.
Yeah, and I kind of think that we all kind of got the thought the same time, and you and Al happened to be talking, and the next morning you and I had a conversation. It was just like, I was just like, oh my God, I was thinking the same thing, like, what? Yeah, and there we were.
Yeah, and there we were. I ran it by Al. I said, so I had an idea. How do you feel about me bringing another show to the network? And he was all in. And I said, okay, now I got to talk to Cindy. So it was good the way it all came together. And I'm really excited to launch that next week. Still working on some music aspects for our opener. And we got our logo and our mascot, Mr. Bufo.
Yes,
Bufo Alvarius.
Yes, yes, and he's the toad where, of course, we get DMT from, which is the actual medicine that comes from the frog. Is actually known as the god drug, and it you talk to God, you meet God, you get hugged by God or the creator or the universe or Mother Nature, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call that
Yeah.
power.
Your God.
That's
Yeah.
you get taken to that person comes to you, that being comes to you. So the Bufo is a pretty powerful little dude.
He is. He is. Really
Yes.
loving my Bufo, Mr. Bufo. So he's sitting on both of our shoulders, whispering all of the latest and greatest news to us so we can bring it all to you guys. So we will be appearing, showing you guys the new show, Psychedelic Reporters, will be airing on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Same time slot we're in right now on opposite weeks. So there will be a psychedelic show happening at 7 p.m. every Tuesday. One week it'll be Open Your Eye. Following week it will be the Psychedelic Reporters. In the months that have 5 weeks in the month, there will be 3 Psychedelic Reporters shown that particular month. So all weeks that Open Your Eye is not on, Psychedelic Reporters is. So Tuesdays, 7 p.m. This is your station for all things psychedelic. Pretty
I'm
cool.
really excited. Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be a
pretty
good
cool.
show. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a young lady that's here with us tonight that's really cool in the psychedelic base as well. And we're going to bring her in now. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you tonight's guest. Miss Tarra Simpson is in the house. How's it going, Tarra?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Welcome
Nice
to
to
Open
see you.
Your Eye.
Love the backdrop. Yeah,
Thank
welcome to Open
you.
Your Eye. I love the backdrop. Fucking magical, ain't it though?
Yes, fucking
Ain't it
magical.
though? Magical. And we're going to talk tonight all about that magical stuff in
Oh, yes, we
psilocybin.
are.
That's a friend of yours and I, for sure. Before we dive into Tarra and all the magical stuff, let's do a little chit chat about our recent adventure. Us 3 ladies took a trip
Oh,
together
yes.
in more ways than one.
Yeah, we did. That was epic.
Yeah, it was quite the weekend. We got together in Toronto, the 3 of us, and we're from, opposite ends all over the place. Tara's in Southern Ontario. I'm in Northern Ontario. Of course, we got Cindy way out in the West Coast or on the East Coast.
East
So,
Coast.
Yes.
we East Coast. So, I mean, we came from all over and we converged onto Toronto for a nice long weekend of relaxation and a lot of laughs, man. And oh, what a time it was
It
celebrating, of
sure
course, the
was.
Karma Cup.
Yes. Yeah, definitely was an amazing time, especially being that most of us had never actually met each other in person.
Yeah.
Other than Cindy and I, we had met like a year before. At kind of a fluke. We didn't know who each other were at that time. We just met at a Ganjanista's, shall we say, legacy market.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
on my way home from the Karma Cup, funny enough.
Yes,
I was
exactly.
driving.
Yeah, and you had stopped in to see a few people there, and that's how we kind of met. And then we just kind of kept touch, and I kind of kept tabs on what Cindy was up to, and and then a year later, there we were. Actually, more than a year later.
Years.
2 years, yeah, 2 years.
Yeah,
That's
2
right.
years later.
Yeah, we finally got to meet in
and
person.
I briefly met
again.
Cindy. I briefly met Cindy that same year.
Same year.
And
Yeah.
it was very brief. And of course, I was on the road with Al doing live on location for the Karma Cup. And when
Right.
you're inside the gates of the Karma Cup, you're talking to 5,000 people in a weekend. Cindy
Very
was
That's
one of
what
them.
I heard.
I honestly don't remember a whole hell of a lot about our conversation or our first meeting. It was just a whirlwind of people
Yeah.
that just converged into one place in like 48 hours, right? And it just
Right.
becomes a blur after a
Yeah.
while. And then, of course, we hooked up on social media. She sent me the picture that we got taken, a selfie together. And she sent it to me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember you. And I'm looking at it. I'm showing Steve and I'm going, do you remember her? I don't remember her.
You guys are funny.
But yeah. And then, of course, we created a friendship, the three of us on social media, that came to a head in Toronto that weekend.
Oh, did it ever? That was amazing. Best weekend of my life. We have to do that every year. All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think we've got a great crew that all came together for Karma Weekend,
Oh,
and
we
it was
did.
a lot of fun. And of course, we ended up, even though Kim thought she forgot the mushrooms on this particular outing, we ended up having quite the trip at Planet Paradise that Saturday night.
Oh yes, yes. With that that bruschetta bread, there was something funny in that.
A little bit.
There was something really
little
funny
bit.
in that.
Just a little bit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh yes.
absolutely. But lesson learned too, right? When you're going to visit with Mark and have one of Mark's Whitaker's infused dinners, be sure to find out the
What strain?
strain of
Yes.
mushrooms that he's using
Oh
prior
me,
to
oh my,
placing your
yes.
order.
Oh my word.
I am so glad I only had a bite.
Yeah. Oh my word.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
were
We
B
we
plus.
ordered some strong stuff. Yeah, they were strong.
Yeah, they had. Of course, once they were eaten, Mark came by the table. We were like, "What kind of mushrooms were those?" And he said B plus. And 20 minutes after we ate them, oh well, somebody should look them up and find out what they do.
Yeah.
And within
And then
about
we
20
looked them
minutes
up.
of that. Oh yes, yes. We found out the B plus are actually a very giggly strain.
Yes.
Everything
Oh,
was
yeah.
quite humorous.
Yeah.
They're very
Yeah,
giggly,
they
and
were
they're,
like
they're
one of
a
the top
high
ones.
hallucination
Yeah,
strain
Yeah,
as
they're one
well.
of the top
Yeah.
for
So yeah,
hallucinogens. That was
yeah.
crazy.
and most of
I
y'all
mean,
ate 2
people's
grams.
faces were melting. I could not look at Naomi Poley. I could not look at her. Her face kept melting on me. It was like hanging on the ground, and I'm like, oh, no, I can't do it. No.
That was like me with JJ. She was sitting across the table from me, and she was in hysterics too because she had way more B plus mushrooms than I did. And we just kept looking at each other, and she was shaking her head, going, "Nope, nope." And then that was it. I just was hysterical, and then she was hysterical, and then neither of us could stop laughing. To the point we had tears running down our faces.
And it was karaoke night, so like people were getting up there trying to sing while people were like just laughing their asses off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 And listening to people trying to sing when you're high on mushrooms. Now, get me, trying to sing. When you're trying to listen to that and you're high on mushrooms, oh, it's not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. It got to be a little bit trippy.
Yeah. It was time to go. It was time to go. So we all packed up and we went. And oh, motherfucker, what a ride home. That's a whole segment all by itself. All I'm going to say is, JJ,
was loving,
let me out.
Let me out.
Let me out.
And Kathy with her, put the taser away, Kim.
Put the taser away. Oh,
And
our
the
poor
Uber, of
Uber
course, was in
driver.
Kim's name.
Right.
Oh yeah, the
Poor
Uber
kid.
in my name. I was just no, I fed him so much money, man. I got a 5-star rating.
I'm sure he wasn't thinking about that all the way back, though. He was probably like,
No,
these people have got to get out of my
yeah,
car.
yeah, no, we
How
paid for that trip big time. I mean, it cost me a little bit of a fortune, but it's okay. I maintain my 5-star rating. I don't fucking care.
I knew something had happened when JJ came through the door and she was still shaking her head and she went, nope. And she went right out the
No,
back door. And then I heard you and Kathy come through the front door and I went, uh-oh. What happened? Oh,
JJ
was it
freaked
ever
out the
something?
cab driver, something fierce, and it cost me a
Oh, I
small
have no
fortune.
doubt. You paid more in tip than you did for the whole fare.
I did.
Yeah,
I
you did.
did.
Yeah.
I did. The tip was more than the actual fare itself of the entire ride, but he doubled his money, and I paid for it. It was fucking worth it for my 5-star rating, and it was worth it for that trip home because that was once in a lifetime, and it's something I am never going to forget. So
No,
Absolutely
it was
not.
beware,
absolutely
JJ.
hilarious.
We will never ever, like, Kim was there. She will never forget. And I will never forget the story. I will never forget the three of you coming back in the front door. Yeah, it's ingrained. We're going to remind you
And
forever.
sitting in the yard and listening to that story and them tell it while
Yeah.
still high on mushrooms.
While still high. Yeah, we enjoyed the rest of the night at the Airbnb we were in. It was great. We had a
Oh yeah.
fantastic weekend. That night was the highlight of it all. I'm going to jump over to the chat real quick and say hi to a whole bunches of people in the room. Hello, Monica Purdy, Ron McNabb, JJ is in the house, JJ
Yes.
Over, and a couple of Facebook users. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Yeah, Tara, we had a great night that night, and I got to learn a lot more about you that I didn't know. And one of them things being your little biz, Trippy Hippy Chicks. I knew
Yeah.
that you were doing the cannabis edibles, and you were entered in karma for cannabis, but I had no idea at that time that you were also involved in psychedelic medicine as well. So let's start off by let's get some history on Tara. So how did you come to get into psychedelics as a medicine? I guess I would imagine personal use, right?
Exactly. That's exactly how it happened. I was actually doing a lot of these cannabis event markets and had the pleasure of meeting my friend Paula, who actually taught me everything I kind of learned in the beginning about psychedelics and using them for healing, for sleep, for pain, for all sorts of things. And so that summer, actually, when I had met Paula, we went away to a retreat in the Muskokas called Expansion Fest. And as a youth, I had experiences with LSD and with mushrooms, but through my adult years, never bothered. Right? It wasn't acceptable. It wasn't something that was in my world at that time, until I went into cannabis and then met all the right people. And so we went to Expansion Fest, and that was probably the highest dose trip I've ever had in my life. Was that first night. Paula gave me a whole bunch of Hawaiians. And slowly over the course of the evening, I nibbled them back. And of course, we had an opening ceremony with some mushroom tea that everyone had contributed to. So I had some of that as well. And not really knowing a whole lot about potency or dosing or anything, just went, sure, I'll take this. Let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Let me in.
all my trips in my teen years playing with mushrooms, and I mean, I think the most I ever ate would have been 2 or 3 grams back, then. And they were always really pleasant and fun. And I never had a bad trip per se where acid wasn't quite my thing. Acid was a whole other beast for me. So I thought, well, there's really no harm. And at that point I knew, you can't really overdose on mushrooms, in the sense, like, you're not going to go to the hospital and die from taking, a handful of mushrooms. So I put faith in it, and the rest of the night was magical. We're sitting around the campfire and the stars were popping out of the sky. Like, they were like 4-dimensional. I can't even describe them. The trees were like breathing. Someone had a guitar and they were just playing like a really old school soft rock song as someone had their sounding bowl out. And all at the same time, the frogs in the lake that we were camping on were also croaking to the beats of the music, and everything was just in sync. And at that time, I didn't even realize they had kicked in. But then I was kind of like, whoa, okay, this is a little bit weird. And that's when everything just kind of hit me at once. And I went, wow. And it just escalated as the night went on. And I would have thought that I would have been like more and more like maybe panicked, or because I was with a whole bunch of people I didn't know, other than Paula and her friend, who at that time had gone way back to the camp, away from the main fire, and left me there with all these people high on mushrooms. And it was about 3:00 in the morning before I finally was like, whoa, I gotta make my way back. And in the dark, still high on mushrooms, because somebody brought more mushrooms out throughout the night, and just started passing around these treats, these chocolates with mushrooms in them. So I ate some more of those. 3 a.m., stumbling through the forest, no light anywhere. I had the light on my phone, and I'm walking along, and all of a sudden the light goes out, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? Right? Not figuring it out. And I'm like, now I'm panicking because I'm standing in the forest, in the dark, in the Muskokas. There's bears there. Anything could happen to me. And then I for some reason realized that, wait, the light was on my phone. So I turn it back on, start making my way through like this dirt road that I had to go back through by myself. And this must have happened 3 times where I, for whatever reason, turned the light off on my phone. But when I finally made it back, Paula came out of the tent, and then things got a little bit crazy because she locked herself in an outhouse and her phone died, and her friend was stuck in the tent, and the rest was history. It was quite interesting. It was a weird night, but it was a great night.
It sounds like
the next morning,
and that was your first
coffee, and wanted to do it again. I was like, that was amazing. Like, I need to recreate this. I need to feel that again. Because while I was in that state, I didn't realize what was happening. But when I thought later about what I experienced, everything at that point kind of came together for me. Things started to just make sense, if that makes sense to you guys. Like, where, things in the world didn't quite click before, and then it just kind of happened. And I was like, is that what I'm going through? Because I know that people have described that it can help with that connect. And so the next night I did a whole bunch more. I didn't have quite the same experience, but we were, I think they were Amazonians that night that we did. So it was a little bit of a different effect. After that weekend, I needed to know more. I needed to kind of play with microdosing, because I was on some medications that I wanted to get off of. And I had tried to get off of with cannabis and cannabis alone, and it wasn't working. And my doctor, of course, doesn't have enough experience in weaning me off of these medications, that I've had to do it myself. And a friend of mine had, again, said that could help with the withdrawals. And because of the medication I was on, it was Cymbalta, which has to do with the receptors in your brain, the serotonin receptors. And right. So even on low doses, I couldn't get off of it without going through absolute agony, like pill sickness, which shouldn't happen. I mean, people talk about that with opioids. This was an antidepressant that was used to treat my fibromyalgia. and it wasn't doing anything for me.
They're just as bad. I think they're
Right.
worse in some aspects. The brain connect that you get from
Oh,
these antidepressants. I feel you. I was on handfuls
yeah.
of them. I mean, there's lists that I mean,
Yeah.
list after
I
list
had
that you can
withdrawals
go
for
through.
years when I finally got off of
Yeah,
everything. I mean, it was only iboga that
yeah,
got rid of the withdrawals for me.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah. They're
still,
worse.
yeah, I still do have some of those withdrawals. I get a lot of nerve shocks, like those zappy,
Yeah,
or what they call brain zaps. I get those too still. And likely because I didn't do it as slow as what I probably should have with, like, I literally was taking the capsules apart and counting beads and, putting them back together and doing like so many days of this dose. And then taking like a break from the Cymbalta, and then I would try microdosing my way through, so that I could only take it every so many days to try and wean off and wean down at the same time. And it took me a little while. And I had to go back up in dose again because I wasn't doing well. But once I figured out my regimen, it was easy. And then sliding in the odd, like, higher microdose, almost like what I would call a reset dose for me, which is like about a gram and a half. So on those really rough days where I'm not coping, but I'm not taking that Cymbalta, I would do that reset dose, and throw a movie on and have a great nap and wake up feeling a lot better, because with sleep, I think it helps with that nerve pain and those electric feelings you get through your body. So there's definitely things that happen in our chemistry in our brain when you take even a microdose, which I've been taking the last couple of days because I've been having some issues with flares and migraines. So for me, a microdose is anywhere between like 0.2 to 0.4. It depends on the day. I know when I need like a higher microdose versus a lower microdose, and then I can go weeks without it, but it just really depends, right? But amazing to get off of some of those medications. I couldn't have done it without.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing, the benefits that you can get from these things. I too, I think we're all have traveled the same pathway with pharmaceuticals and making the break from pharma. I think all three of us
Definitely.
started with natural medicine being cannabis, and then finding out, okay, all these antidepressants and stuff, cannabis doesn't cut it to replace those. It works great for the pain control and the anxieties and stuff, but the effects from these heavy antidepressants, they do a number on your brain, and you need brain medicine to fix that.
Oh, 100%.
And mushrooms, like, I mean, like, it's more than, like, I mean, cannabis helps to like ease the pain and ease the anxiety, but when it comes to the brain, mushrooms, psilocybin, they get in there and at the right dosage, they start repairing and making new pathways. And it's amazing what these things can do for your brain. I mean, very much like their own root system, right? Like, I mean, like, they've got this integral root system that, I mean, they talk to all the plants, and like, they're just amazing. And that's taking at the right dosage. That's what they can do for your brain.
Mm-hmm. And I find, like, now that I've gotten off some of those antidepressant meds that I couldn't kick because of that withdrawal, I don't find that I'm more depressed being off of them. I was never on them necessarily for the depression. I was on them for the fibromyalgia, because it all works on the same nerve receptor system in our brains. Pain and depression are all kind of interlinked that way. And my doctor, of course, kept wanting to increase these meds. And I kept saying, like, no, like, I can't. They're making me feel sick. They're, all these things. And she kept saying, oh, you'll be so much better. Your depression will be better. I don't have depression. I have anxiety, but I'm not like suicidally depressed, and I never have been to that point since finding cannabis, right? And so that was something she never quite understood. She just kept wanting to, oh well, it'll help your sleep, it'll help this. Well, no, it's actually, I think, causing more sleep issues. And since being off of them, my insomnia, I used to have such severe insomnia, I would sleep sometimes 2 hours a night. That's it. And I would go weeks and weeks like that. And I really have a feeling it was all of those meds they had me on combined, because since being off of them, I still have bouts of insomnia, and I think most people do, but it's not that severity level. I mean, a bad night for me is waking up 2 or 3 times and maybe not being able to get back to sleep for an hour or two, you know, but I'm still getting probably 5 or 6 hours of good sleep somewhere in there. Versus 2 hours a night, being up, not being able to sleep. So with the microdosing, I find as well, people have told me that like high doses of mushrooms, I can't sleep on them, but on microdoses you can. And I find it actually on those nights that I have microdosed, I sleep a lot better. It's almost like being wrapped in a little warm, fuzzy blanket. And I just want to curl up and have a nap, and I sleep really restfully. So for me,
I sleep no problem on mushrooms.
Yeah. Can you?
No problem.
Doses,
oh, I can do a reset dose. I can peak and go to bed.
Yeah. Do you think maybe that's certain strains? Because I've done like high doses of some strains and been like just wide awake, almost like somebody had fed me a cup of coffee, only I wasn't hyper from it, just alert. Yeah,
I think there's I've only encountered 1 or 2 strains that I couldn't sleep on.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I can sleep. I get to my peak. I love peaking in bed. It's like I know I'm plateauing any minute, man. It's like I'm going to bed because I'm doing this in my bed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing this in my bed, man. And that was, you know, I'm gonna plateau, and I'll plateau in my bed. Is just like, oh, you're floating, and I'm out cold.
Yeah.
I have the best sleep.
Yeah. I've done that where sometimes I've taken like a high dose, like 2 or 3 grams of something and thought, well, this will be good because we're all high on shrooms, and then been like, no, you know what? I just want to go to my bed now, and left the party and gone off to my happy float zone and gone to bed. You know, and just listen to, you know, the sounds around me, because usually it's camping or, you know, yeah, I've done that and been able to sleep no problem, and had some of like the coolest dreams. Not that I remember a lot of them, but remember waking up and thinking, wow, was that ever an adventure?
Yeah. And you wake up energized in the morning. It's like, oh man, I'm good. I had the best sleep. Yeah, what are we doing today? You know?
Yeah, let's get some breakfast and get going.
Yeah. What's on the agenda today? Where are we off to?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a reset in the brain. Everything falls into place. You're rested.
Yes.
You've established homeostasis within your
body.
And then when you wake up, you're golden.
Yep. And it's very much like that, like for my microdosing, that homeostasis state, right? In the mornings, I do that self-assessment. And if something's not right and I can't place it and I can't shake it with, you know, a couple of doobies and some coffee and, you know, trying to get my day started, usually it means I haven't microdosed. And sometimes I get complacent because I get busy and I forget that, you know, I should take this more regularly here and there. And I go maybe a week and a bit and then go, oh, what's going on with me? I don't get this. Oh, you know what? It's been a couple weeks. And within an hour or two of taking a microdose, you just start to find that groove. And you're like, yep, that's what it was. That's exactly what I needed. Yeah.
That's why before I went for my ceremony, I did a set regiment with my microdosing. It was I'd microdosed every 3rd day you know, just like I would take a vitamin every day, I'd microdose every third day. And, you know, and I was very, you know, very bang on with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm more like you, Tara. It's like, oh, I'll do it twice this week, I think. Or next week is 3 times, this week is twice, you know, so try and make it every 2 to 3 days, that kind of thing. And then, like you say,
Yeah.
life gets busy, especially in the summer.
Yes.
In the nicer weather,
Right.
especially in the nicer weather. You get
Yeah.
busy and you're just doing and you're going and you're going. And then just like you with me, my triggers, I notice I let my dishes pile up. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
sweep the floors today. And I'll wake up the next day and I'll look and I'll go, God, this place is a mess. How did I let that happen? And then I just start getting all depressed about it. It's like, oh well, fuck it. I don't feel like doing it. And then it's like,
Right.
hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on with you? Because you care about this shit. How come you
Right.
don't right now? You
Yeah.
know? So yeah, that's my little radar, you know, my little red flags going off all over. And it's and yeah, it'll be 2 weeks since my last microdose. Well, you're slipping into a depression. You're falling down that well, you know, and mushrooms
100%.
mushrooms is the line out.
It is, absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned like letting those things go, and, you know, being busy kind of leads up to that, because it's what I used to call
Yeah.
my crash and burn. I would go
Yeah.
for 2-3 weeks, and then I would have like a crash and burn day. Sometimes it would be 2 days. And that was where I absolutely could not function. I would be holed up in my bed, curled up, just wanting to sleep, because it was like I couldn't sleep enough and I just didn't feel right. And I could never quite place it. And that went on for years. And not quite knowing, thinking that was depression, and it wasn't. It was just my body needed the right stimulus, with the right medicines. So getting off of, because I was on all those other medications at that time, getting off of all of those and replacing them with this microdosing, my crash and burn days are not nearly what they used to be. I still have the odd day where I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what, maybe I should take a nap today. But it's not in bed for 2 days and not being able to function, not being able to form thoughts, not being able to go do those few things I need to do just to get by for the day. I actually might just not get as much done as I would have liked that day. But I still am able to plug through and get those few things accomplished, so I can say, you know what, I at least accomplished something today. You know, I ran the dishwater, I did a load, I did a load of laundry. All right, I smoked 12 doobies today. But I at least
accomplishing something.
I accomplished something today. But I have to allow myself those days too, right? Where I don't push myself, but I don't give in either. So microdosing has helped me to kind of get there, and to understand what was happening versus what is happening now. And listening to a lot of like what Cindy's gone through, what you've gone through, and what even the knowledge my friend Paula has spoken about, it all makes complete sense now, and why more doctors don't try patients on this sort of therapy first. I'm hoping one day that will be the first course, not here's some Cymbalta, or here's some nortriptyline, or here's some Effexor, or some Paxil, or I've been on all of those. You know, I think they do a lot more damage to how our brains disperse those chemicals. And when you think all the other things in our lives affect how our bodies produce those chemicals, right? How what we consume food wise affects how our bodies release chemicals in our brains, because food nourishes our brains.
Absolutely.
You know, stress can influence the release of different hormones as well. I think a more natural approach, which our body knows what to do with, versus something that's made in a lab that our bodies don't know what to do with, is probably a better first line approach, especially with people who are suffering with depression or anxiety. Because I think a lot of those medications just goon them out and then they can't function and they just think that this is normal, and it's not.
No, it's not. It is absolutely not. I
No.
mean, the human
Yeah.
body, when in a state of homeostasis, that means you are operating at peak optimal levels. Everything is
Right.
firing on all cylinders. We're all
Yes.
doing good. Everything is working in conjunction with one another. Our human body, we produce many of these psychoactive chemicals naturally within our bodies. We produce
Yes.
DMT when we sleep. We produce, cannabinoids are produced in a mother's breast milk.
Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
ibogaine is produced in the
Ibogaine is
liver.
produced by the liver. Yeah,
Is it
in the
really?
liver.
I didn't
So I
know
mean,
that.
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes,
neat.
we produce that
Okay.
in our
So
liver.
you
Our
naturally
body is
produce that.
producing these elements. And then
Right.
you find out that there are these plants, fungi, and other elements in nature that are also have these elements. Well, homeostasis means come together and be
Right.
as one. Well, doesn't that mean to everybody? I mean, the natural path is to consume these elements in nature so your body can stay within homeostasis. We're supposed to be
Right.
coming together as one.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I mean, these are the natural therapies that many of the pharmaceutical drugs are chemically trying to reproduce so they can sell it to you.
Right.
Go find it growing somewhere.
Right. But there's no money in that for them.
Yeah,
Unless they start,
yeah.
mass producing mushrooms and
Yeah, but then they start growing with pesticides and chemicals,
right.
Yeah.
and
Like
they ruin our natural med.
Yeah.
right, like they
Yeah.
have with
Well, what are we at with Health
cannabis,
Canada
right?
right now with cannabis? What are we at? 112, is it 112 accepted pesticides and nutrients are allowed in legal cannabis?
That is disturbing. That is
Scary.
very, very
Yeah.
disturbing. And if they're allowing
Yeah.
that in our cannabis, I can just imagine what they allow in our food source.
Yeah, it was at
you know,
like 86. It was at like 86 was the number was a few months ago, but there was a big list that was pending to be accepted,
wow.
to be added on, and it was going to be taking it to like 112 or something like that. I think that's what we're at
Wow.
now for accepted, and that's the stuff that you're buying in your legal cannabis store. There is a list of
Right.
over 100 products, that chemicals that they're
Chemicals.
allowed to use in their production. Chemicals.
Wow. The
Yeah.
whole point behind
Yeah.
consuming cannabis is
Accepted.
to consume
Accepted.
clean medicine, not to
Exactly.
pollute our bodies with more
Yeah.
chemicals. Oh my word.
Well, this is it. When you're buying this stuff, once it becomes on the legal market and government controlled and regulated, then it's many times now. Not every grower is using that allowed list or any portions of it. Not every
True.
grower on the market is using them, but the point is they are allowing it. So there could be up to 112 chemicals in the products that you're purchasing in the legal market. So we finally get natural medicine onto the marketplace, and it's no longer natural once it arrives. It's chemical ridden and chemical laden, and I hope we learn from this experience and we don't follow the same path with psychedelic medicines now that they are coming to the forefront of medicinal therapies that are being accepted and studied around the globe. And with that, on that note, let's take a short break. We got to
Okay.
pay some bills, talk to some sponsors, and do all that lovely stuff. And then we're gonna come
They
back.
like to have their commercials played, from
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we got to pay the bills, hey? We got to pay the fee for to be on the air and all that kind of stuff. So let's listen to our great sponsors that we've got here at OYE, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk some more with the lovely Miss Tarra Simpson here on Open Your Eye on the Pace Radio Network. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888. And grow on with CP.
Pace Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And we're back here on Open Your Eye. I don't know if my smoke is all showing up on the camera or not, but I just filled it up with a giant dab, and I'm not quite finished joking.
I'm sitting holding my best for trying not to cough.
Break wasn't quite long enough. We need another sponsor. Come on in, sponsor. We need one more. We need extended time to do our dabs. I wonder if Tara's done. You done yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm sitting here laughing at you two laughing. Funny part is I didn't realize I wasn't on the screen laughing with you at the same time until you said, oh, wait, let's bring Tara back in. Oh, boy.
Just to let our listeners out there know, Open Your Eye as well as the Psychedelic Reporters, we are in search of sponsors. If you have a business that you would like to advertise with us on one of our shows based in the psychedelic industry, drop us a line. We would love to give you our rate sheet and bring you on board. We don't have any psychedelic sponsors right now. They're all in the cannabis industry, and we'd really like to expand on that.
It'd be pretty cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
So drop
Yeah.
us a line. Message Cindy, message myself, message Al Graham. Anybody at the station can help you out, and we will absolutely send you off our rate sheet, and we would love to have you on board. So drop us a line. Tarra, when we left off, we were talking a lot about, how you got started and everything. And of course, now your experience with microdosing and macrodosing and getting yourself weaned off all those harsh pharmaceuticals. Your life has become so much more enriched since you took these steps to learn and find out about natural therapies expanded into the psychedelic realm. You again, with same as you did with cannabis, you started helping other people, and now you've got Trippy Hippy Chicks. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I had wanted to start expanding into working edibles into the mushroom aspect of things, because a lot of people don't really want to eat the mushrooms as they are because they taste kind of, I guess, nasty for some people.
Yeah.
I personally am one of those weird people that can chew on those mushrooms and enjoy the flavor, but some people don't like the taste of them. So I thought, well, I can do this with THC. Why can't I do this with mushrooms as well? Problem was having time for me with all the cannabis stuff that I was doing, just didn't exist. And then, the world kind of shut down for, I don't know, the last 18 months or so. And during that time, I had a bit of time to do some research, and I brought my friend Kathy in to help me because she's very into learning a little bit more. She likes mushrooms, but wasn't at that point, as knowledgeable as she is now. She's learning so much. But I needed some hands and I needed some ideas. And Kathy and I just kind of clicked when it came to, hey, we should do this, or how can we do this? So we just click when it comes to bouncing ideas back and forth. So that's how some of our products were born. Was, again, Kathy would say, oh, what do you think about this sort of cookie? Could we do this with mushrooms in it? And it's, well, process. We need to figure out a process. And we'd go back and forth for an hour and a half. And next thing you know, we're in like research and development mode. And now we're actually, trying to put this process into play with all the different tools I have available in my workshop. And so we managed to create Oreos and Fudgios that are infused with mushrooms. And for us, accuracy was a big thing. There's a lot of mushroom products out there, a lot of edibles already, mostly chocolates. I've seen some caramels, but mostly chocolate. And they're done in not so small craft batches. Let's put it that way. They're mass producing, right, on a huge scale, and wholesaling to lots of places, I'm sure, and making good money. But some of the feedback I had received was that they weren't finding consistency, because I would carry some of these products for the people that wanted them that I couldn't make them for because I wasn't making this stuff at that time. And they found consistency wasn't always there. So for me, my products have always been very consistent. So I thought, well, hey, I can do this. And that's what we did. So everything we make is literally hand infused. So every single Oreo is literally hand infused per dose. Every dose is pre-weighed and it becomes assembly line. So our Oreos, the centers are infused. It's not the whole cookie, it's the centers. So that creamy goodness in the center that, you get your double stuffed Oreos. Well, ours are more like super stuffed Oreos. And in the center is all your yummy goodness. And then we dip them in some chocolate just for added effect and yumminess, which, yeah, who doesn't like a dipped Oreo?
You touched on something there. You touched on something there that I want to double back to before we get too far ahead.
For sure.
The consistency with mass production. Big issue for sure, for sure. We see that with medicinally infused products across the board, no matter what it's medicinally infused with. If you're using a substance like psilocybin, generally that's coming from whole mushroom. So there's mushroom bits in there. Now we all know what it's like when we make a batch of, say, blueberry muffins. All right, we're in the kitchen. You're making a batch of blueberry muffins for your grandkids. You slice 2 of them open. You got 2 grandkids at the table, 1 each. You slice 2 of them open. One of them's full of blueberries. The other one's got 2 blueberries.
Exactly.
One of the kids is pissed off because they don't have enough blueberries in their muffin. Well, doesn't the same thing happen with mushrooms?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If the bigger your batch size, even with THC or mushrooms, you're going to be less likely to have that consistency, unless you have some like super crazy process that I don't know about. But I know for myself, like even with my THC line, everything's done in craft batches, 1 batch at a time. Not mass batches, not with machines. Everything's hand poured. Everything's, I have equipment for everything to adapt my workspace, but nothing is like, I throw everything in a machine and it just does it for me. Nothing like that. I wish, but again, the consistency, right? If you're not doing the work yourself, maybe it's my OCD, but if I'm not on it myself, I worry the consistency isn't there. So I've always done it all myself as well. A lot of people keep saying, well, hire someone to make it for you. No, absolutely not. No, I would be too worried that, all that hard work, that, the consistency wouldn't be there if someone else was making them, even part-time somewhere else while I was making them part-time in my workshop. You know what I mean? The consistency for me, I just need to know that it's there. It's my patience, right? And same with the mushrooms. I don't want someone getting something that's, a gram higher than what they were expecting, right? Because they got too much of the blueberries and not enough muffin mix, right? You have to really make sure that it's all hand done and accurate. So for me, everything has to be hand done, and Kathy's the same way. She's OCD like that. We have a process when we work together. Everything's double checked, and we're checking each other's calculations, and so we've made some magical products. So we have our Fudgios and Oreos, and we have actually created nut brittles. So for people who are vegan, there is no butter at all in them. They can have them. It's just corn syrup and nice. Sugar and nuts, right? So kind of keeping along the lines of, plant-based food, plant-based medicine. Nuts are a very good vegan protein. And they're good for you, and people like them. So we have like 3 different types of nut brittles, I think. And again, that was time consuming and tedious, because they're bricks. They're, you can snap them. I think we did them at like 2 grams because they were pretty big sized. So you can, break it down and eat as much as you want. You can weigh the whole thing, and then, because when we mix it was mixed. Not a lot of give or forgiveness in that. Literally 5 pieces in a batch, and each one was hand infused into the mold as we went. Candy's not a very time forgiving thing in that sense, but we got it done.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
that's a lot of work, man.
That was a learning curve.
Fast, and man, oh man, I know what
Yeah.
it's like just putting a topper on my little bars that I make. Everybody's got burnt fingers at the end, and you're just going like a
Right.
bat out of hell, and all the tips of your fingers are just burnt because you
Yeah.
gotta pick this shit up.
Yeah.
And it's boiling.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's a lot of
So-
fun, eh?
Oh, it is. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, I burn myself daily around here.
Yeah. Oh,
if I'm not, if
Yeah.
I'm not splashing myself with, hot water or gummy mix or, it never
Yeah.
ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How I have not been banished from a
Dedication to the
kitchen.
product. I mean, yeah,
What's
but it's
that?
dedication to the product. I mean, you're putting
Yeah.
it's dedication to the product. You're putting into it what you would want to see in a product, and you're giving that out to patients that you're working with. Well, you want to make sure that you give them a proper product. You don't want to give them something that's not going to help them or is going to hurt them eventually. Like
Oh,
it's about
absolutely.
caring about your patient and that patient relationship.
Absolutely. And I always make sure to get lots of feedback from those people as well, because they all have varying reasons for using mushrooms, as well as THC, right? So I'm always feedback. If there's something that needs tweaking, or they found 2 grams was a little too much for them of that particular strain, because we make a lot of strain specific as well. So every product we make,
2 grams is too much of B+.
Yes.
Yes, 2 grams is too much.
If your B+ is too much.
Yeah. 2 grams is too much, eh? HJJ? Two grams was too much. Yeah, so we make them like with different strains too. So like if we have our Oreos, we may have Oreos in Blue Meanies, and then we have Oreos in, say, B+. And we have the same in Fudgio. So we try and make them with different strains too, so that people can be more strain specific with their choices, rather than, some products you don't know what strains in them. They don't always say on the package that they're using Blue Meanies, or they just have their like house strain, which a lot of them are using Golden Teachers, from what I understand, is a pretty popular go-to with edibles right now. But Golden Teachers aren't good for everybody, or necessarily for what they're using them for. JJ.
It was just perfect.
JJ, I love you.
Once she got out.
Yes. Once she was out of the Uber. Yes.
Oh, you had to be there, folks. You had to be there.
Oh, yeah. With her amazing top hat.
Oh, you got me crying. Oh, that was hilarious. Was one hell of a night. Oh yeah, that's just gonna keep popping in. I'm sorry.
I know. How can it not, right?
Yeah. I hear 2 grams and I just think not B+. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. We're talking mushrooms. Somebody says the word 2 grams and I go, not 2 grams of B+. That's what comes to my head.
That's right, because I think he put 2 grams in yours, didn't he?
Yeah. I got X, but then he took my plate away.
Right.
He took my plate away because he gave me cheese by accident. And then they put more mushrooms on, because they gave me the same bruschetta bread, but they added mushrooms to it again, and they gave it back to me. So I got a double dose.
So you were expecting one dose and got another.
Yeah, and I got another.
Welcome to Toronto, Kim. That's what Mark was saying. Watch, I'm going to show Kim. I'm going to show Kim a good time in Toronto.
Oh, he did. Oh,
Yes,
he
he
most
did.
certainly did. Most certainly did. Shout out to Saturday nights in Toronto.
Yeah.
Definitely, you want to go. You want to go. Um,
Yes. If you haven't been to
absolutely.
Planet, you need to go.
Yes, you want to go. You want to go.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, you put your heart and soul into this stuff, and you and Kathy, you're an amazing team. The way you guys bounce shit off each other is very cool. I had a chance to see the two of you in action on the weekend and shit, and just the interaction you could see. It's like she would say something, you're on it, you're on it, you're on it. You just click. It's a great relationship for and when you've got somebody to do that with, the end results are endless. I mean, the prospects are endless.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Kathy and I balance each other well. I don't know if it's because we're both Leos, but we're both like laid back Leos. There are some Leos apparently that can be much more like dominant, but we're both pretty laid back, fly by the seat of our pants Leos that way. And we've only known each other a few years. I actually met Kathy at Ganjanistas in Hamilton. She used to come in and bring all her friends to my table and show them all my goodies. And last summer we had an opportunity during all the kind of lockdown craziness to connect. I was going to Grand Bend to an event, and I thought Kathy could use a getaway because it was kind of our birthday weekend-ish. And I knew she didn't get away a whole lot. So I said to her, hey, I got this like really cheap opportunity. If you want to go, you basically get to come and camp, and it's like an event style party market / getaway. So let's do it. And so she did. And she came to Grand Bend with me and my daughter and her boyfriend, and we had an absolute blast. And again, got into the mushrooms that weekend around the campfire. And that's kind of where everything kind of came to fruition. We started talking about what we could create. Kathy's an ideas person, as she says. She says, I come up with all these ideas. I just don't know necessarily how to implement them because she's not like a baker, like what I do with my other line of things. So she kind of came with ideas and I came with knowledge, and we just started building on that. And there we are a year later, and now Kathy isn't just bringing her friends to my table. Kathy's friends are showing up to our table. And our patients, we have our own Facebook group. It's a closed group, so you actually have to get an invite to come in for obvious reasons. There's a lot of people who might, try to take us down, and we don't need that kind of attention. But for those who are interested, we do have a Facebook group, and it's the Trippy Hippy Chicks. I don't know if we come up in a search. I'd have to ask Kathy. She admins that group, so I don't know how she has it set up. But that's where you can kind of find more information. We share a lot of information we see online to that group so that people can find the information they might be looking for on their mushroom research. So that's kind of how it's all come about now. And we just keep expanding. We started doing microdose capsules in all the different strains that we can get our hands on. So yeah, we
I like
actually,
that. They're your strain specific. I like
yes.
that. I really do. You touched on this a little bit earlier. Most of the stuff that's out there that you're buying, the prefab stuff, I've got a few mushroom bars in the kitchen there made by different manufacturers. They're basically, it looks like a Hershey's chocolate bar with all little squares in it, right? And that kind of thing. But none of them are strain specific. They just say psilocybin.
Yes. And I don't like that, because for me, certain types of mushrooms in high doses are better for certain types of, shall we say, venue spaces, right? Whether it be camping or Planet or, at a bar where there's loud music, or different strains can have different effects. And I don't want to be in the wrong strain at the wrong time kind of mind. Because that's
not all
always a good
mushrooms are
time.
created equal.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, they're not all created equal.
Different
They're very
strains
different.
do.
It's very much like cannabis.
Right.
Not all strains are the same.
Right.
And it is the same for mushrooms. I mean, I know my low dose ones, they're golden teachers, but I'm not going to eat a golden teacher. I'm not, you know how many golden teachers I would have to eat if I wanted to do a reset? Oh my Lord.
If you wanted to have
that's
like
not going to
B
happen.
plus, like a lot, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
and
they're absolutely big differences.
Definitely. And different strains have different levels of intensity with things like visuals versus more like a body effect, right? So if you're going for more the like, I want to laugh my ass off and have a good time and just not care about anything, you may want something like a B plus versus something like a Z strain, which tends to be a little more intense. From what I understand, still a very happy, euphoric mushroom. But if you're taking normally a gram of one, you might not want to take a full gram of something like a Z if you've never played with it. You know what I mean? And if you're just taking edibles, you don't know what's in there. It's going to go all bad at some point. Something's going to happen. And you may not want to be that person at that time. So yeah, I like to try and do everything strain specific so people know what they're taking and they can make that choice. And if they don't know about a strain, I tell them to look it up. Like there's tons of information online, look it up, read a little bit about it. Because just because I tell you what it did for me doesn't mean it's going to have that same effect in that same dose for you. Right. So they need to kind of be able to do a little bit of their own homework that way as well. So everything's always strain specific on our packaging.
That's awesome.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. And we learned the hard way, to find out what you're taking before you take it.
Yeah.
So,
how long did it take us to find out what B pluses did? It was like, 2 seconds. We said, what strain are these? After we ate them, we said, what strain were they, by the way? And he told us B plus, and everybody got their phone out, and we all kind of went, oh, fuck.
This is going to be an interesting night. Don't forget, we had taken some micro doses before that too.
We took micro doses before we left the house.
On the table,
yeah. Before we knew about the bruschetta bread option.
Yeah. So it's always a good idea to look this shit up before you take it.
Definitely.
Unless you really don't give a shit. Like we didn't give a shit that night, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah,
but
none of us had to drive, so we were like, it is. Yeah. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen?
We're going with it.
What's the worst that's going to happen? We're all going to get up and sing karaoke and... Yeah, that didn't happen. We couldn't stop laughing long enough to do karaoke. Do you remember trying to pick that song?
My point to that was, oh God, we talked about what song we were going to sing for at least an hour. Okay, what song are we going to sing? I don't know. And then I don't know. It was like an hour. We couldn't pick a fucking song for like an hour.
So we bounced around the table for over an hour. Yeah. And then by then we were in hysterics.
Can't come to a consensus. Yeah, you just can't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Anyway, my whole point to that was it only took us like 30 seconds to look up the info on that. So the info on mushrooms is available out there. It's easy to find.
For sure.
Very easy to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what a night.
Absolutely.
Good, my God. Just craziness.
Carol, are you planning on continuing the infusion with all of your products? Like, I know that you make gummies as well, and I have tried others, like other like mushroom gummies. Are you planning on moving, like, trying a few more things in your Trippy Hippie line?
It has been discussed. We're working on kind of a process for the recipe, as far as, again, keeping it small, craft, and again, not wanting to mix the dried mushrooms into the batch and pour it, you know what I mean? So we're working on how can we best utilize the molds we have? How can we best dose them? Because gummy mixture's pretty forgiving that way, but we want to do everything like individually. So it's picking the accurate size, and can we make it maybe a gram bar with 4 dividers, so people can take a microdose or eat the whole thing if they want to, right? So there's some things we're working out in that aspect, because I don't believe in just pouring a slab and just sprinkling it with, willy-nilly and then cutting it into pieces, or however some people are maybe doing it, right? Because a lot of them aren't molded like my gummies have a molded shape, right? They're not, you can tell they're not cut from a strip, or everything I do is calibrated to molds. So it's figuring out how we're going to do that process, and kind of what our best time efficiency on it is. And also trying a test batch to see if it works, that we haven't actually put into play yet, but it's coming. Gummies would be a really good option. I like gummies. Yes. Oh, don't worry. Samples will be sent.
I was lucky enough to try the chocolates from the trial batches.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had sent me some of those, a cake pop and a chocolate on a stick, and a peanut butter cup. And good reviews on all of them.
Oh, good. Yeah. And again, those peanut butter cups, the centers are what's infused, but they're literally all hand infused, every single peanut butter cup all the way along. But we have a process, right? Like, we get everything kind of flowing, and then it flows, and before you know it, it's all done. So, and even that went through like 2 or 3 different processes. We tried it one way and went, okay, next time let's try it a different way. It'll be easier to do it this way, or right. Everything individually dosed is just how you mix it and how you make things work. So we figured a few little glitches out, and now we got it down to an art and science on those products. Now we can start expanding further. But I found one of the most popular products right now is actually microdose capsules. That seems to be like everyone really is into the capsules. The odd treat, like some people prefer the treat. They like a little bit of chocolate now and then. But that seems to be right now, everyone's really into the capsule thing. I think maybe just out of convenience,
Microdosing is huge.
Yeah.
Microdosing is huge. It's just it just went off. It went off like a rocket. It really, really did. We've talked often, Cindy and I have, about seeing the evolution of psychedelics, both of us being fairly involved for about 3 years now. The evolution in the last 3 years, following the same path as cannabis did, but where cannabis moved like a snail, this thing's going like a bullet train.
Absolutely. I can remember, like I said, a year ago, talking to Kathy and saying, like, we're just talking about our business venture together now. But I mean, people are already been working on this for like a year or more. I had been thinking about it for a year. And at that time, there was already probably 3 or 4 products I had seen from other legacy companies that were working on these things. There were some cereal bars, which were great. They were good, but for a 4-gram bar, I ate the whole thing and I did not get as lit as I had hoped. I was really hoping to be
4 grams. You should have gotten lit.
Right.
Well, yeah, knowing you should have been lit on 4 grams.
Knowing my tolerance.
Dose, yeah.
Right. So again, I don't know how those bars were produced? Were they produced in large batches and then cut and or done by weight, or who knows what their process is? Or maybe it was strained and just that night just didn't take the way I thought it was going to take. But 4 grams, usually that's a pretty good dose for me. I'm going to be up staring at that campfire night.
That's a good dose.
Yeah. And I wasn't. So, and then I've had other people's capsules. In fact, I had some recently given to me at an event by a good friend of mine, dude. And he's making his own capsules. But what they're doing is combining strains, which I found interesting. And his microdoses are 0.3s, not 0.2s. So by combining the 2 strains gives yet another effect, right? Even in a microdose.
Yeah.
And I must say, I was pleasantly surprised with his microdoses. They gave me a really good effect. I liked the combination that he chose. Really was like warm fuzzies, even at a higher microdose for me. I was like, ooh, I can't wait to do these ones again. And so I saved those for like my tougher days where I need that little bit of higher, because his product's actually pretty legit. But again, there's other stuff out there, you can't speak to the consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you tried any legal mushrooms in your education?
Legal mushrooms?
Yeah, specifically like lion's mane or reishi. These are they do amazing things for getting rid of brain fog and giving clarity. And a lot of folks add them into their regiment to boost the psilocybin.
Right. And I know you and I had talked a lot about this that weekend that we went to the 400 market, and we got to see some of the products there. We were talking about some of this, and I haven't yet tried any of that, but that's something I want to try, because I've been seeing a lot more about it in some of the news that's floating around on the internet. And from what you've said with because I get fibro fog, it might help with that. So it's something I want to try, definitely. And if that's the case and this does really help, then something I might try to incorporate into some of my capsules for some of those patients that have, say, fibro fog or some memory issues, stuff like that. There's all sorts of things that we can do to customize their medicine for them. There are some capsules I have seen on the market that are marketed like love dose, and they have like different extracts in them, like, I not specific, but might have bee pollen extract or this and that in it, and then they have others that are that they're marketing for other things as well, and again, all with the natural additives in them, like ginseng but with the mushrooms as well. So pretty interesting that that people are starting to already customize, and it's something that we can do with so many different things, based on what we're treating for each patient, because you can make a batch for a patient that's specific.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's when I was microdosing, I was taking a cap that was made by somebody. It was made for me, and it had a combination of lion's mane, reishi, I think I'm saying that right, golden teachers, and penis envy. And the combination of the 4 of them was absolutely blow your mind. Like, it was great for energy for the day, for mind clarity for the day. The thinking process became easier. And I also think it would be wonderful for people who suffer with ADD or ADHD. It gives them a chance to help focus. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Clarity of mind.
Oh, yes. Some days I don't know whether I'm coming or going, and I can't figure it out because the fog's all there, right? So yeah. So I get that for sure. That's really neat.
But combining meds, I mean, we see it all over in the natural world, in the plant world. We've been combining different elements of nature's grandma's cold remedies consisted of a bunch of herbs together steamed in a pot,
Right.
because of the cohesion that would happen to produce the effect that you want. So I mean, this is something that has gone on for all of time. We even see it in cannabis with the combination of adding stuff like lectin to your oils for absorption, adding the
Yes.
coconut oil to it. So that it can be utilized in different ways, adding grapeseed oil or alcohol, and then you've got a tincture, with different preparations of topicals. There's everything. What the
Right.
kitchen sink is in some of these topicals with cannabis, but they naturally come together to alleviate whatever symptom you have. If you've got the right group of ingredients, you can do wonders.
Absolutely. And that again goes back to these things have been around longer than pharmaceutical medicines. So,
Yeah.
they were growing here long before we started taking man-made chemicals. Obviously, they were here on the earth for us to utilize for medicine. And we have a lot to learn from these plants. A lot more than I could even imagine. I'm just starting to get into more of this, but there's people out there that have been studying plant medicine for 20, 30 years, and they still don't know everything. But they know a lot, and they heal people.
Yeah.
Yes, with plants. With
I don't
plants.
think anybody knows anything about all of it.
No,
Nobody
no.
knows everything about
No.
all of it. There's no way. There's just too much. That's why you have to, bring it, narrow it down. Okay, what do I want to focus on? What do I want to learn about?
Right.
And then that's where you've got to put your focus, and you'll excel, and you'll learn about all of the
Exactly.
ancillary plants that can go with that plant to make medicines that will help a lot of people.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. There's so many people now that are just starting to get into it, that were kind of like me a couple years ago, like, oh, I've heard about this. What did it do for you? Oh, what do you think I should try? Like, and here I am now telling them, well, from my, experience, I've tried these and I've tried these, and this is what I found. And right. And so now they're starting to get into it. So it'll be interesting in a year or so when now their friends are all trying this and going, wow, this actually works. Right. And people have messaged me back and said, wow, what a difference in my migraines, or what a difference in my mood. And they can't not do it anymore, right? Because they know it works, and that it's good for them. And so they're getting rid of their not so good for them pharmaceuticals, and even having conversations with their doctors about it. I, for one, had a conversation with my doctor about it, for which she just kind of blew it off and didn't really want to talk about it. Though I did fill out her depression, anxiety scale forms, and I put it right on there when she's, what other things are you using in your daily, whatever it was. And I put right on there, psilocybin mushrooms, THC.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's in my
Yeah.
patient file that I'm doing this, and whether you like it or not, this is the path I'm choosing for my healthcare, and it's working for me. And this is what I have found while I've been doing it. You don't want to listen to that research. That's your problem, doc. But this is what I'm doing. And forget that prescription you want to write me. Like, you can keep that. We're not going up in dose. We're going down in dose, and we're going off those doses. And it's because I'm doing this.
Right.
And so, yeah. Anyway, she doesn't like to discuss this stuff with me anymore. and that's okay.
But you took control. You took
Right.
control.
Right. And again, it's the same doctor that was, you're on so much and you shouldn't be on all of this. Well, then figure it out, doc. You're the one with the medical degree. This information's available to me online. It should be available to you online. Do some homework on it, because this is what's working and this is what I want to try. And you can't write me that prescription if you don't know what you're doing. And you can't get me off these meds if you don't know how to treat me. So I've become kind of my own doctor in a sense, but with the guidance of so many other more knowledgeable people than myself. I didn't just, go down the street and find a local dealer and say, hey, can you give me a couple grams of mushrooms? I want to go tripping. I went about it with some background and knowledgeable people who have guided me, and now I feel confident buying some mushrooms at a local market and saying, hey, I'll take an ounce of that. I need to try these ones, right? I'm not so scared. It's pretty safe. But everyone should do the research prior to ingesting any substances. Just for liability.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely changed my life.
It's a learning journey. It's a learning journey. I mean, you've done your research. You went out and you found some knowledgeable people. You looked stuff up and you got the answers that you wanted about all of this before. You didn't just say, hey, I'm getting high. That's not what this is. You found out about natural therapy that works, and you did it the right way.
Absolutely. Again, I didn't do mushrooms for the first time to get high. I was actually more curious as to what they could do for the withdrawal off of medications, because we had these conversations amongst, all our like-minded friends at these events that we go to. And it just kind of got brought up there. And so I asked more questions, because at that time I was trying to get off some of these medications and trying to wean myself down, because my doctor didn't know how to do any of this. So I was more curious as to what it could do for me, not, hey, how high can it get me? It was, what can this do for me? Can this treat this condition that I'm being over medicated for? Can it help with my pain? Can it help with my migraines? Can it help with my overall well-being mentally? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I have to know, because I've tried everything else, and we tried it this way. It didn't work. So let's try something else, right? I'm not going to be a slave to a medication that doesn't work for me. You shouldn't be a slave to a medication. The medication should be your slave. It should be doing the work it's supposed to do for you. So it's kind of, done doing this, let's do this, and it's working. And if it keeps working, I'm going to keep doing it.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Hi,
of course
Kathy.
You would. Absolutely. Hey, everybody out there. We killed an hour and a half. I got so much more I want to talk to you about. You're going to have to come back and join us again for a follow-up show in the very, very near future. Because, oh my God, I have so much more that I want to talk to you about. But we are at our hour and a half.
Are we really? Where did that go?
Zipped right on by. Yeah, it just zipped right on by. It did. So at this time, I'd like to give you the opportunity for a shout out. Let us know how to get a hold of you, Tarra. Anybody at Trippy Hippy Chicks. I know you've already said it once, but go ahead and say it again about Trippy Hippy Chicks and how to find you.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say hi to Kathy, who finally appeared on here to say hello. And we do have a Facebook group. It is Trippy Hippy Chicks on Facebook. I don't know if it's searchable. I would have to check with Kathy. If not, if you have me on Facebook, send me a DM and I'll add you to the group. Other than that, we don't have a whole lot available online for obvious reasons. But you can always shoot me an email at my Mama T's Medibles info@gmail.com. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, we're just going to keep on keeping on.
And they can always find you at Planet Paradise.
Yeah. Well, we haven't been doing much of that. But they can definitely look me up on Instagram as well at my Mama T's Medibles Official 1.0. And some of our stuff is available for viewing on our platform there. Beyond that, awesome. they just have to send us a DM.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tarra, for joining us. We're going to have you back on. It was great chatting with you once again, as it always is. And fingers crossed, you'll be seeing more of Tarra in the future. We're working on stuff. So we'll hopefully be seeing more of Tarra and meeting up with Kathy and doing so much more on that front. Absolutely. Cindy, great as always having you with us tonight. Excellent joint host. I mean, you're awesome. You uploaded new stuff to the board. I mean, you're taking care of shit.
We got her ready. It's all good.
We got her ready. It's all good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Open Your Eye, broadcasted through the Pace Radio Network. Audio podcast will be uploaded to paceradio.net at the conclusion of the show. Replays are available on Open Your Eye on Facebook, as well as Pace Radio Network on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We'll be back with Open Your Eye in 2 weeks with another special guest. And this time slot next week will be our first podcast of the Psychedelic Reporters. Looking forward to seeing you guys all on a weekly basis on one show or another here at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays on paceradio.net. Hope y'all had a great night joining us, and thank you once again, Tarra, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, girls. I'm so excited.
We were excited to have you here.
We're excited to have you. We'll see you guys later. Ciao for now.
See ya.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
The People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network provides its listeners with news, information, and a place to be heard. This is done with a twice-weekly broadcast of the Reefer Reporters and by providing cannabis advocates a place to be heard through Cannabis and Coffee to Marijuana and the award-winning Pace Radio Show. Catch it all here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
What is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network? It's a network of people advocating cannabis education.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888. The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.